Hi, I'm Roberta. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're having a naughty Aussie treat. When was the last time you had a potato scallop? It was certainly one of the things that I loved during my childhood. I remember buying them in the fish and chip shop on the way home from school and eating them out of the paper as I walked home. They are delicious and they are easier to make than chips. I've tried making chips at home and I realise why most of the chefs I know actually use frozen chips. Because chips are a bit tricky, but potato scallops, I'll show you how easy they are. So we start with a good potato like a Dutch cream or a Queen May, and we cut it into about 1 centimetre thick slices. You don't want it too thick because it has to cook through, but you don't want it so thin that it falls apart. Now I've tried boiling these slices or parboiling them before we fry them, and I find they tend to break apart when you take them out of the water. You might be more gentle than I am, but I haven't found a way to do it. So I came across this method, which was actually in a book by Jane Lawson, and she was making potato scallops, and the way she par-cooked them was in the oven covered in boiling water. And I thought, that seems pretty clever. So that's what we're going to do. Into a baking dish in a single layer. Doesn't matter if they move around a bit and get on top of each other, that's fine. And cover with boiling water. Cover generously, doesn't really matter. We're going to pop it in the oven for about 20 minutes. And we'll test it with a wooden skewer to see when it's ready. Then we'll take it from there. Thank you for the inspiration, Jane. After about 20 minutes, you'll be able to see when you test them with a skewer that they're tender. So out of the water and onto a cloth to dry completely. Now I've done this a day before and just once they cooled down, covered them, popped them in the fridge, and they're good to go the next day. So you can certainly do it a few hours ahead if that suits you. And then we're going to get our beer batter made. The first thing we need to do is get some flour, baking powder and salt sifted into a bowl. So now all we need to do, open our beer and start whisking. You may not need it all, or you may, so don't pour it all in at once. Pour most of it in, give it a good whisk around. Definitely going to need more than that. And any that we don't need we can drink. It smells fabulous. This is a lovely yeasty beer, which is what you want for this. You can make beer batter with any beer. You could use a dark beer, that might be interesting, but I normally go for a pale beer. And that's still too thick. I want a bit more in there. You don't want it so runny that it doesn't stay on the fish, but the thinner it is, the lighter the batter will be. And as I said, we don't want a stodgy batter. All right, there we go. There's our batter. We'll just give it a good whisk to get rid of any lumps and head to the stove. Oil's good and hot. We're just going to dust our potato in flour, dip it into the beer batter. I don't know any neat way to do this. It gets a bit messy, but trust me, it's going to be worth it. Look how beautifully they puff up. Again, that's the beer and the baking powder that do that. And these take a bit longer than the fish. These will probably take about 5 minutes. You might find you turn these a few times while they're cooking. That's fine. Just flip them over, get them nice and golden brown on both sides. Now we do want to make sure that potato's cooked all the way through. So we're going to let them get quite dark, but I think they're ready now. Usually about 5 minutes. And here we have them, our beautiful Aussie potato scallops. They definitely need salt. If you were eating them on their own, you'd probably want a squeeze of lemon juice, but I'm going to have these with my beer battered flathead and sauce grabiche, so I don't think they need the lemon. You decide for yourself. Enjoy. And I hope it's a trip down memory lane for you as it was for me.